largest station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to INCRadio Florida. And first of all, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. This is our first show of 2025, and we are super excited that you guys are joining us this morning because we've got a great show. We're going to be coming to you with a brand new show this coming year. We're going to be talking about a lot of things that I think many Floridians are going to be able to relate to. And as we go into that topic, but before we do that, I want to be sure that we greet everyone. Of course, today is Saturday, January 4th. It's a little bit after 9:30 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States, which means that it's already late in the evening there for our viewers there in the Philippines and are watching us in Asia. It's already 10:30 in the evening. So thank you. Thank you for staying up late. But we guarantee that if you have any interest in coming to Florida, this is going to be the show that you're going to want to watch, because we're going to be talking about all things that make Florida, Florida. And before we do that, though, I'd love to introduce our wonderful co-host this morning, all the way there from the central part of the state, the happiest place on earth, according to some, Sister Joy. Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. We're so delighted to have you all here, especially in this new year. And it's definitely a delight to have you all. So be sure to tap into the chat. Let us know where you're from, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. We love to engage with our audience. And today we're going to be actually having a little bit of a quiz that we're going to start launching, Sister Joy. This is going to be fun. I know that our viewers are super engaging, and so they love to be able to chat, even if you're just saying hi. But, we want to put you guys to work. We're actually going to make you guys do some work today. We're going to have you put your thinking caps on as we put together a few questions that we want to ask you to see and test your knowledge about the state of Florida. So why don't we jump right into this morning's topic, because, I know there's going to be a ton for us to cover, and we are, of course, Sister Joy, the fastest 30 minutes on radio. So we've got to be sure that we can get to everything today, so that way everyone will have the opportunity to see what it is that we love so much about this beautiful state. I mean, in the next couple of weeks, maybe in the next month or so, we're going to be transitioning to a new format, which is called a Sunshine State of Mind, which I am just, I can't say how excited I am about that, because there's so many things since we've moved here. I know you're one of the few native Floridians that we have on the show. So you actually can wear that proudly. I'm one of the other million people who are transplants to Florida.
Well, I mean, so for all of our viewers, you guys get to see both perspectives, right? Someone who's I was born and raised here in the Sunshine State, and then you get the perspective of someone who has just like flown in and who has, adopted.
Technically we drove in. We didn't fly in, but we're just coming from Georgia. Well, but it's so true, because so many people love coming to Florida, starting off as a vacation. And then some people are fortunate enough to be able to actually move here and enjoy living in the state. Because, when Sister Lulu and I moved here, my wife, we used to come here all the time. We lived in Georgia, and we made it an annual tradition, like at the end of the year when it was cold and the winter months were settling in Atlanta, to make a trip down here to Florida, because, it's kind of an escape. It's kind of a getaway. And you come down here, the weather's 70 degrees, although it doesn't feel that way this morning.
Oh, definitely not this morning.
40, it was 48 this morning. So
it was 50. So
I was like, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, because, I do love to put on my winter coat once in a while, but
it's good you still have
the
it.
weather changes. Yeah. I have one coat. I keep one coat just in the event of an emergency. But we come down here for vacation, and you really, really can't imagine that when you move down here. I remember the first couple of weeks when we first lived here, we would drive across the Howard Franklin Bridge to be able to go to worship service there in St. Petersburg, and then just looking out over the bay every day and look at each other and literally say, "Can you believe we live here?" And because there's no better place to get stuck in traffic. I know that's something you thought you would never hear me say, but to be stuck in traffic sitting on the bridge, because the views down there are just incredible.
It is. It's
Stunning.
stunning. And I have to say, coming from someone who's lived here, I've lived here all my life. I won't tell you how many years, but it's 30 plus some years, right? And more. But it's not until I go to a different state. And of course, I admire the beauty in all the different states. But here in Florida, I mean, it's beautiful. It's remarkable. You can see the sunset, on the east sunset, the sunrise, and then you can see the sunset on each coast of, I mean, where do you get that in one state?
Yeah.
Just travel
over the
from
over the
different.
water, right?
Yes,
Because that's
exactly.
that's really the key. Because you could drive all the way to like the Cocoa Beach area, which
Hmm.
for me in Tampa, I live on the West Coast. It's about 2.5 hours to drive across the state, which that's unique because our friends there in Texas. I'm sure
Exactly.
it's not. It's like it feels like it's 18 hours to drive across the state of
Yes.
Texas because it's
And
just such a big state. But
and that's
here,
not including all the traffic, right, that you have to go through.
yeah, yeah. Well, you just go around Dallas. Don't even
You-
bother going through Dallas. But if you drive from here, well, then again, you have to take I-4 driving through
Oh,
Orlando. So
yeah,
we have our troubles too.
we do.
But 2.5 hours to you can go have brunch or breakfast on
Hmm.
the east coast of the
Hmm.
state, watch the sunrise out of the ocean,
Yes.
and then just very casually 2.5 hours drive across to the west coast, and you're in Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach, some of the most beautiful sunset views, and you just watch the sun just melt into the Gulf of Mexico. It's
Exactly. And that's in
it,
one day,
you can't believe it. That's in
right?
one day.
Yeah, you start your day off on the East
Mhm.
Coast with a nice breakfast, and then you can go inland for some nice lunch, and then
Right?
go watch the sunset.
Three
There you
meals.
go. There you go. You can
In three
snack in
meals, you can
between.
watch both. But here's a little hack though, Sister Joy. Something that I think a lot of people don't realize. If you drive further south down to Key West, right, and you get down to like the Key Largo area, you don't have to drive all the way down to Key West itself. But if you go down to Key Largo,
Mhm.
there are places there, Airbnbs and different places where they sit right where the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean actually meet.
Oh, that's neat. Yes.
So you can literally be standing in water and
Mhm.
have your right foot be in the Gulf of Mexico and your left foot be in the Atlantic Ocean. And from those places, you can watch the sunrise and the sunset into the water from the comfort of your hotel room. You
Look at
don't
that.
even have to travel anywhere because, again, it's a unique thing if you were down in the Key West area that is just mind blowing.
There you
So,
go. Only in the
one of my
Sunshine
favorite
State.
places. Yeah, you know what? I think for one of our episodes, I'm just going to have to sacrifice it and make a trip down to Key
Oh,
West,
you make it
and
sound like
actually
it's just
share.
so painful, like it's
Yeah,
a sacrifice,
it's I'm going to do
People
it for
wanna
the
see
show.
that.
I'm just doing it for the show. So let's talk about what a sunshine state of mind is, right? Because the
Go.
sunshine state, of course, is what the nickname is for Florida, and that's because we have 300 plus days of sunshine here,
You do.
except during hurricane season. But
It's hidden there. You can see it every now and then.
we definitely, even though it's 40 some degrees outside, I see the sun out. But you do get an abundance of sunshine here, which is why we call it the Sunshine State. Next to Hawaii, we are the only other state in the country that has a tropical climate. That
We do.
like literally has a tropical climate. It averages about 72 degrees here if you look across the whole 12 months, right? So that's the average temperature here in Florida. So those are some of the reasons why it's such an attraction. But I'll tell you another reason why the Sunshine State is such an attraction, though, Sister Joy.
Okay. Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
We're
you have to
we're
eat. Yes. That's what we do best here.
it's what we do best, as reflected by my increasing wardrobe. And when I say increase, I'm talking about size. The the food here is unbelievable. We are going to be covering our favorite spots to catch
Mhm.
a good meal here in Florida in on the new show. So one of the biggest features of a Sunshine State of Mind is on taking you through our Florida Eats tour,
Oh, wow.
which is going to be talking about all of the variety and diversity in the
Diver
food.
Yes, variety, diversity does not even, like,
Yeah,
explain it all. I mean, it really is just, a myriad of just so many different types of cuisines and even fusions.
Yeah.
so many different fusions, so it's really this is going to be
This,
really
well,
exciting.
this we're each week we're going to be highlighting a specific food, talking about where to find it, because so that way you don't. If you're looking for a place to eat, we're going to be hitting you guys up with all of the best spots in each of these cities that, of course, we've had to personally taste, right, Sister Joy, in
Oh
order
yeah,
for us to
it's
in
only
order for us to
appropriate
give a
that
good
we
review.
do.
It would be it would be something that would be dishonest if we didn't actually eat at those
Mhm.
places in order for us to give you those recommendations. But you know what a lot of people don't realize is here in Florida, the cultures are so diverse. Of course, we have a very large Latino population. So
Mhm.
here, it's not just Latino food is not just Mexican food. It's
No.
Argentinian, it's Colombian, it's Brazilian. We have Puerto Rican, we have Cuban, we have
Mhm.
Dominican, all of these different cultures
Mhm.
that fuse. And the thing that I've learned about Latin food here in Florida are the flavor profiles are completely
Oh
different.
yes. Oh yeah.
Usually with Mexican food, it's typically something that's considered to be spicy, something that's going to be different levels of heat. Where with like Puerto Rican food, it's much less spicy. It's not
Oh
bland
yeah.
in any way, but
Oh goodness.
it's got great
I think
flavor.
you just described that so lovely. I mean,
Yeah,
it didn't
I
really
know.
like make me hungry.
I
I
am
love
too. I mean,
that.
I maybe I picked the wrong pictures. Well, and the one thing we're going to do, the one thing that I'm personally going to cover is to handle the age old question
Oh,
about where the Cuban sandwich originated from, because
oh,
there's a huge debate about it, and we're going to
really?
have that answer for you on our show in a future episode. And who has the best Cuban sandwich? Is it Miami? Is it Tampa? I think
Mm.
many of you are probably going to know where I'm headed with this, but it's going to be a very
Mhm.
objective review of the history, the birth, and the differences in the Cuban sandwich. But then, of course, we have an abundance of seafood. You're in
Oh
Florida, for
yes.
goodness sake, right?
Yes. Seafood. Oh, so
Oh,
good. And it's like
I've
fresh
seen the
too.
places that you and Brother Billy have eaten at with those seafood towers. That
Oh,
I hit you up about that one
yes,
time, and it was like
exactly.
that those places
Delicious.
here. What we're looking at down here are, I think they call them stone crab, right? They're
I think
stone
that's
crab legs.
for me, I'm like crab, delicious. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and what's unique about these stone crabs are only available during a certain period of the year. I think it's like around the October, before the back end of the
When it
year.
gets a little bit, yeah, closer to the colder months.
Yeah, and so these stone crabs are things you can only find during that period. If you're getting them outside of that period, they've been sitting in somebody's freezer and they've been
Mhm.
frozen. But if fresh stone crab here in Florida, if you've not had it, you need to try it. It is an extremely unique flavor over just regular blue crab and other ones, and super super meaty. On the bottom left, we just love to make fritters out of everything down here,
Oh, we do.
right? What is the strangest fritter that you've ever had? Because I know of a dozen different fritters that we make down here in Florida.
You know what, though? I still have to say the conch fritter is still it's not strange. It's just I think it's the texture
Mhm.
is more. I've had gator. A
You've had
gator.
gator? I was
Yeah,
gonna
gator.
say, is gator like on that list? Because conch it's a shell here, right?
Yeah.
It's a, I don't know if it's called a crustacean. Maybe somebody in our we have a really
Sure.
really smart audience.
We do.
But if somebody could please tell me what is conch? I know it lives in a shell. It's got that kind of weird looking
Yeah.
shell. The meat is like super super thick inside, and the texture of it when you take the conch out, the conch meat, and then they chop it up, the texture is
Muscle.
kind of like, yeah, exactly. It's a little thicker than mussel. It's like between like squid and mussel. And but if you cook it right and you
That's
throw it in
true.
some batter and turn it into a fritter.
I think any fritter though tastes good though. Oh,
But fritters, you got to,
but
you got to be careful because you put so much batter that's in there, then all of a sudden you can't tell what it is
oh,
anymore.
yeah.
The cornmeal that's in there. But I've
Love
had
it.
gator, I've had conch, I've had grouper.
A
Actually,
group.
what
Oh,
we call them are grouper bites. But there's groupers, and obviously a very popular
yeah.
fish here in the Gulf of Mexico. But one of the things that I think is really unique, if you're ever in Florida, is to try something called grouper cheeks.
Grouper cheek. So it's the cheek.
Grouper cheek. It's the cheek of the grouper, which is
Mm,
super, super fatty
and tender, I would imagine.
and very tender. And it's to use the words literally melts in your mouth.
Yeah, I can
So grouper cheek is a delicacy that you need to try if you come down here. And then of course on the bottom right we've got just all sorts of
understand.
platters. But on the left side of that plate, though, something that you find here in Florida, all over the place, right? Plantains.
Plantain, yes. You can have it
The
sweet, savory, a mix of both.
mhm. There's you how to it's like you can have your plantains your way. They have
There
they have
exactly. Yes.
there's some dishes I know that down here. I think it's a there's a Cuban dish, mofongo.
Yes! I was gonna say, I hope he
You had a
says it
mofongo
right.
before?
Oh my goodness, yes, I love that is one of my favorite jams, yes, and then
We
you can mix it with, like, shrimp or, like, even, like, different kinds of, meats, and it just changes the flavor profile of it, and so
Yes. Well, and the beauty about mofongo is that it is designed as a base, right? And the whole base of mofongo is plantains. Just they
mhm.
take plantains and they mush it up, and when they mush up the plantains, it turns into almost like I want to say like almost like a sweet potato consistency, except stiffer
Yeah,
than
it's
sweet
thicker
potato.
and yeah.
And it's and the beauty of it is in at that point you can mix it like you said with anything,
Oh
with
god.
seafood. You can mix it with
Mhm.
my favorite is they'll mix it with like a pork of some sort,
Oh,
and the
like the
pork
crunchy
that's in
pork?
there is just, oh man.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
definitely it's something I got to make for breakfast one of these days.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, oh my goodness. Yeah, and then it has, like, this garlic profile into it too. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You add
okay.
yeah, garlic and plantains. Way to go. So, any of our audience that's out there today, go find a restaurant that serves mofongo. It's a Puerto Rican restaurant, and do yourself a favor and have one for lunch. And
You
then
know what's
that's
interesting? I've been to a Cuban restaurant, and I feel like
yes,
that was one of the best mofongos. So, yeah, for all
yeah,
of our viewers, let us know. I mean, because 'cause we'll be letting you know.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We will as we go out and travel across the state, trying all these different foods,
There
right?
you go.
But then as much as we'd love to stay on this topic for the next 20 minutes, if you're in Florida, we're going to be
Oh, yes.
talking to you about the best beaches in Florida. We're, again, making the sacrifice of having to travel, haul our families to the beaches. So this way we can bring to you all of the best spots. And more importantly, as locals, because even though I've been here now I've been here almost 10 years. This
Has it
this
been
year
10? 10
this
years.
year is my 10th year in Florida. It's my 10th year anniversary in Florida. In fact, next month in February. So
Wow,
that,
that's
does that make
awesome.
me does that make me a native almost, a local?
No,
I'm
nice
still a
try.
tourist.
Nice
Still a
try.
tourist.
Nice try.
But as a
Oh,
tourist, I love going to all the beaches. We've gone to all the beaches here on the Gulf Coast, so everything from, of course, St. Pete and Clearwater Beach, more popular beaches. They're, obviously award-winning beaches, Sarasota, Siesta Key, those are all on the West Coast, right? But they're on the East Coast. It's beautiful beaches too.
yes, we do. You know what
Jacksonville.
I'm excited though to share with everyone is that, you hear about all the major beaches, but in upcoming episodes, we would love to share some of those, like uncommon places and beaches that you probably haven't heard of, but are just stunning and just as beautiful and less crowded.
Yeah,
You
that's the
know?
hack. We're going to give you guys hacks on where
Yeah.
to find parking, when
Yeah.
the best time is to go,
Mhm.
what not to spend your money on while you're there.
Exactly. That's an
beach
important
beach
tip.
essentials just in time for the summer, right? We're going to
Mhm.
be talking to you about what are the things you really need to bring because,
Mhm.
as a dad, who normally gets stuck carrying everything from the car to
Right.
wherever it is you're dropping on the beach. So we're going to give you some hacks, things you
But you
can't
you
live without.
graduated from dad. You graduated
I
from
did.
dad, and
I did.
now
Now I'm a grand. Now I'm a grandpa.
you're a
So
grandpa. So now you
I
can
mean,
share some of those, yeah, the
the
insights
only
of
thing I'm carrying is my grandson now.
you're
Everything
gonna
else can
pass
stay in the car.
pass on the torch.
So we're going
Bring
to be
the
talking
baby.
about the beaches, and the thing is, there's so many hundreds and hundreds of miles of beaches that are here.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that one of the best surfing beaches, most popular surfing beaches is here in Florida. When you think about surfing, you think about Hawaii, you think about
True.
Huntington Beach, you think about Australia, because those are places where surfing is extremely popular. But there's actually a great training area here for surfers that, we're not talking 30-foot waves, but they're consistent. So this way they can really hone their skill. Do you know what beach that is, Sister Joy?
No, enlighten me.
Want to take a guess?
Mm, I'm just gonna say
Where
Cocoa
have you
Beach.
where have you seen? Well, you know what? You were not that far.
Really?
It is on the east coast of the state of Florida,
Mhm.
and the beach is called New Smyrna Beach.
Oh, is it
NSB.
really?
New Smyrna Beach is one of the
A little bit more
top
north.
surf destinations in Florida, and it also, however, has a distinction for being the shark bite capital of
Yeah,
Florida as well.
true.
Because, and it makes sense because you've got so many people out in the water that are surfing, and so that attracts a lot of attention.
Uh-huh.
So annually, the highest number of shark bites in the country, not just in the state, but in the country, actually occur there in New Smyrna Beach,
Oh, that's
Florida.
very
So
good.
if you're going to go surfing in NSB, as we locals like to call it, in New Smyrna Beach, be sure you're surfing with a
We all
buddy,
tell that Brother
with a
Robert
friend,
here is trying to be the
right?
native, right?
Yeah. Look,
This is the part we talk.
I'm wearing like the Florida shirt, even though it's
It's
40
funny.
degrees
I was
outside. I
gonna
should be
say
wearing a
you are
sweater.
wearing the Florida shirt, and
Yeah.
it's like for here in Central Florida, it's 50 degrees.
Yeah,
So,
so I'm living the persona. That's what I'm doing. I'm living the persona. But if you do want to surf, we do have beaches for surfing. You just don't have to lay around, but there's so many activities. So we're going to be talking about all of the best places to go, what it is that you should be doing when you get there, how best to prepare, and things that you should avoid too. And we're going to be giving you some safety
okay,
tips because one of our hosts
important.
just happens to be a former lifeguard,
There you
Mr.
go.
Audrey, right? So
I was
we're going to
gonna
be
say, well,
talking
don't
about
look at me.
yeah.
I'll give you the tips on the food for
Yeah, I was
sure.
gonna say, yeah, I'm definitely not the beach safety guy. So
Like, hey, there's the food hut right there.
exactly, I can tell you where on the beach you want to eat.
Exactly.
Other things we're gonna talk about. Oh, Florida is filled with so many different cities. A
Mhm.
lot of people think the minute that they think Florida, they're thinking, oh, beaches, right?
But that's
Everybody's
not it.
vision of a postcard in Florida has to do with water and beaches, and we do have an abundance of water because after all, we were built on sort of on
Sandbar.
marshland, right? We have one of our favorite guests, brother Adrian from there in Las
Ah,
Vegas, Nevada, who comes over when they come to visit. Him and his wife Charlene always say the same thing as they're driving them around and they see all of the water because they're coming from Vegas, right? Where it's mostly
that's true.
desert.
Yes.
And they say, "You guys have so much water here. It's so wasteful." I'm like, well, because we live on a on a
Yeah,
plot of swampland,
we
so
do.
everything is water here. That's why we don't have basements in Florida because
Yes, for
everything
very good
everything
reason.
yeah. Because if you build a basement, you're basically creating an underground pool for
Yes,
yourself is what
you
you're
might as
doing.
well add the aquarium, the window right there. See the fish swim by.
So, but Florida has a lot of very cute little towns, and that's what we're really
Oh,
going to
yeah.
talk about because everybody knows about the Clearwaters and the Orlandos and the Tampas and the Pensacola's, the major cities. But we
Yeah.
want to start exploring the tiny, small little towns that people
And
don't
these
know about.
tiny towns are like filled
They're
with so
awesome.
much. Yeah, not only are they awesome, there's vibrant history to them.
Yes, yes,
I
and the
mean,
old town feel in those
yeah,
cities.
yeah.
So, you know what city that is on the top right? It's pretty
Top right.
close.
Yes, I do. I
It's
do
pretty
know
close
that.
neighbor to you, right?
It is, and it's a beaut. Oh, it is so cute. You're right. Now thinking about it, that cute was the word. That's Winter Garden.
That's right. Shout out to Winter Garden, Florida. We have one of our congregations that are out there.
Mhm.
Just driving around, they have, and then right next to it, there's another little town called Mount Dora.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
It
and
is.
and they,
You're right.
it's,
That's such a great
yeah,
such a way to describe it. They are cute, but I mean, good food, a great history to learn about it, and just a wonderful place to visit outside of these major, attractions that we have here in Florida.
right. And on the top left, you could see the buildings in this little town. Well, I don't want to call it a little town. It's actually part of a big city. Are very reminiscent of like the French Quarter in New Orleans, with the design and the architecture. And that is in Pensacola. And so Pensacola, they got beautiful beaches, they've got great piers, lots of fishing, but they also have quaint little town areas there. Here in Tampa, we have a place called Ybor City, which is the town that actually launched the city of Tampa. It's where the founder of the cigar industry started here, and that entire town was created around that industry. And so all of the buildings and architecture in Ybor are very reminiscent of that period. So, we want to visit all these little towns. And of course, down here on the bottom, we've got Jacksonville, Florida. It's a big metropolis, right? And then we've also got on the left side, that's Tampa, big city with a small town feel is what I like to call it, right? But, I think as we do this, Sister Joy, I want to be sure that we also cover a nice little quiz, because I think our audience needs to know,
Let's go.
or we need to know how well our audience knows the state of Florida. So let's start off with, how many lakes are there in Florida? Please just put in the letter associated with the answer in the chat. So how many lakes are in Florida? Is it A, 7,000 lakes, B, 3,000, C, 5,000, or D, 1,500? How many lakes are in the state of Florida? 7,000, 3,000, 5,000, or 1,500? So that's question number one. We're going to give everybody just a couple more seconds. Put in the specific letter to the answer. And then ready to move on to the next question. Next question number two in our How Well Do You Know Florida series is, what is the southernmost point of the mainland United States? Southern. Is it Homestead? Is it Cape Sable? Is it Key West? Or is it Nassau? What is the southernmost point of the mainland United States? Is it E, Homestead, F, Cape Sable, G, Key West,
we've got lots of participants
H,
here.
Nassau? Let's get some answers in there. How people answering these questions, Sister Joy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
Are they throwing in? Because we're going to compile these, and then we're going to be coming up with some new merch as our new brand rolls out. So if you want to get yourself a Sunshine State of Mind mug, a Sunshine State of Mind T-shirt, we've got to be sure that we get our audience participating. So what is the southernmost point of the mainland U.S.? Is it E, Homestead, F, Cape Sable, G, Key West, or H, Nassau? And then our final question, here's the final question for you. If you've ever been to St. Augustine, Florida, you know Ponce de Leon, very famous figure. He was there. You know what he was looking for when he landed there?
The Fountain of Youth.
That's right. And I'm still looking for it.
We all are.
I've been drinking all the water everywhere in St. Augustine, and it's not helping. So I haven't found the fountain, obviously.
That's definitely not the water.
Well, definitely not the water. Yeah, Florida water, not something you want to drink out of the tap, by the way. That's another hack. Where did Ponce de Leon think he actually landed when he landed in St. Augustine, Florida? Was it I, Bimini, J, Cuba, K, Key West, or L, Puerto Rico? Where was it that he landed? Where did Ponce de Leon actually think he landed? Was it I, Bimini, J, Cuba, K, Key West, or L, Puerto Rico? So we have the answers in there.
Let's see. Oh, I love the participation, everyone.
All right. Let's quickly go through this. We have 1 minute. So here's the answers. How many lakes are there in Florida? The answer is A, 7,000.
Good job, 7,000. Florida, right. There we go. Right. Thank you.
What is the southernmost point in the mainland U.S.? I bet you a lot of people said Key West, but the answer is F, Cape Sable, Florida, because the question was mainland U.S. Key West is not in the mainland. It's part of the Keys. It's a group of islands, right?
Nice. And then Sister Mary, she got that.
Awesome. Last one before we wrap up. Where did Ponce de Leon think he landed? The answer is I, Bimini in the Bahamas. That's where he thought he landed, was in the Bahamas, in Bimini. But instead, he ended up in St. Augustine, Florida. And we're really happy because eventually we're going to find that Fountain of Youth that we all need.
All right. Not that water, but this water maybe.
Fastest 30 minutes on radio, Sister Joy. It's an absolute pleasure to be on the show with you again for this coming year. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone.
stay tuned because our friends over at INCRadio South Central States are coming up next. Until next week, we'll be seeing you here on a soon-to-be Sunshine State of Mind. For this brother Robert Tapalas here and Sister Joy there in Orlando. Have a great weekend.
Each night and day to you, dear Father, I pray. I haven't yet seen your answer, but I know that I will someday. It's so hard to take heart when trials break me apart. Yet through it all, you've let me make it this far. Oh Lord, I'm still holding on. I'm still holding. Lord, it's only by your grace that I can ever go on. Though the world wants me to stop, I won't give up, 'cause you inspire me by your love. I'll serve you even better. I love you more than ever. I won't lose faith in you. I will wait. I'll hope when hope is gone. Give my all to carry on.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.